much again. I think I'm just gonna go straight to it this time. Hi, how you doing?
I'm great.
Good. Thank you again for volunteering to participate in this assignment for me. This is for my introduction to counseling class, and we're doing this to practice our interviewing skills and get more into what we're supposed to do to try to get information from people, and at the same time making them feel relaxed and different ways of talking with people. Okay, so on with the interview. Hello, how you doing again? Good. I'm glad you're doing good. You said you had some issues with managing your time with school and work, and how that really kind of, it gets jumbled and it gets mixed up, and sometimes I'm sure it gets frustrating. So tell me a little about that. What are you going to school for?
I'm going to school right now to do my general studies AA. I'm set to graduate this fall, and then,
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. I want to transfer to Florida State University and get my bachelor's in biology.
Oh, okay, good. Maybe be a scientist or something, or some research?
I want to go to med school to become an anesthesiologist.
Ooh, ooh, okay. Big time. Okay, that's good. And we need more of those, because things happen all the time, and people need to be anesthetized and stuff, and I don't want to do that. That's good. You said you're working also?
Yes.
Where are you working, and what are your hours?
I'm working at Regal Cinema 90 out here. My hours, they vary depending on what type of, like, what movies we have out. Because if we have movies that no one really cares to see, it's probably about 8 to 12 hours a week. And then it also depends on if school is in. So school is getting ready to get out, so my hours just picked up. So,
I bet.
yeah.
Because there's more people to come into the movies.
Oh, yeah. And then we'll have our late shows on top of that, so it requires me staying later. So.
How late is the late show there?
The late shows, they start around 10.
Ooh.
And then some of them, like if I'm working in concession, I have to stay till every movie gets out and everyone leaves the building.
Really?
Yeah, so that could be till like maybe around 1 o'clock or a little after 1 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Is that during the week too? Oh, goodness. And you have class during the week sometimes, do you?
Yeah, well, during the summer it's okay, but I will have classes this summer, so I will have to make adjustments to my schedule about that, because I like to sleep, so.
I've heard that one before from someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me tell me a little bit about what frustrates you more, because I don't really know what frustrates you. Is it just the amount of classes, or is it the hours of work, or is it the people, the management, or your professors? Tell me a little bit more about what really frustrates you more, and what's the most difficult thing to manage?
The most difficult thing to manage would be study time.
Okay.
And part of that falls on me, because when I do have the time to study, it's, oh, well, let me rest because I'm tired or whatever. And then I end up over resting and pushing back my assignments, and then.
So it sounds like you have the idea or the initial motivation to do that. So okay, if I set off X amount of time for sleep, I get up, be a little refreshed, then I can study. But then it may sound like you oversleep, and then you get up in your panic mode, and then you like, I gotta study now. And maybe it sounds also like because of that panic mode, you may either, I don't know, it sounds like maybe you miss something, or just get so wound up that you really don't hold on to things, maybe?
Yeah, well, the thing with that is, like, I'll wake up from a nap and be like, okay, it's time to study. But if I don't get out the bed, I will continue to fall asleep.
Okay.
So unless I get up and move around, and normally that hardly ever happens. So it's like, okay, well, now you don't have as much time as you had before, and then it'll be like the last minute,
Correct.
and I'm like, okay, time to stop playing. Go ahead and get this done. And then it's last minute, and I either don't complete my assignment or like I half do it and get partial credit because I didn't
You
use
didn't
my.
do it. Okay. So it sounds like, you know, again, the initial motivation is there,
Mhm.
but am I sensing some discipline, quote unquote, about getting up out of the bed that you kept mentioning?
Definitely.
Okay, it sounds like you were saying, as long as I get out of the bed, the sleep mode is not there.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm in the bed, I could be awake, but I'll sit there for however many minutes or hours.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I've struggled with that myself. Okay. Tell me a little bit more about, is there a certain time of day that's easier for you to get out of bed as opposed to others? Are you a night person, a night owl, or are you an early riser? Tell me a little bit about what time is better for you to study.
I would say at nighttime.
Nighttime is better for you to study?
Yeah, I follow after my dad with that. I don't know. It's because everybody's like sleeping
Mhm.
and it's not much going on, so I
Right.
can like focus. But I have such a short attention span. The slightest thing could just grab my attention, and I just don't do what I'm
Yes.
supposed to. So
Yes.
I don't like studying in my room. I honestly don't even want to be at my house when I'm doing my schoolwork.
Hmm.
But the thing is with the libraries around here, they close early in the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah, because I would love to see my boyfriend at Florida State.
Mhm.
Their library is open like all times of the night. So he can go to the library at like 3 o'clock in the morning and study. Meanwhile, like I wish I could do that here, but Florida Gateway closes at like 4 or 5:30. So
In the afternoon?
mhm.
Wow.
So it's tough, but being as though I have to get my work done, so I have
Correct.
to suffer through my distractions at home.
Right. Okay, so I was about, that would be, it sounds like you said that, you know, the attention span is really
Mhm.
short. And you have your, you know, hopeful plan of studying at home at night. Everyone's asleep, there's no noise.
Mhm.
But then again, I think you said that your family is, you know, particularly I think your dad is, kind of goes back and forth with you about staying up late at night, studying,
Mhm.
things of that nature. What are some of his main complaints?
Him and I guess my mom as well, they're just like, don't wait until the last minute
Right.
when things are due.
Mm-hmm.
But as for like me staying up late, he
Mhm.
doesn't mind it because, you know, he did the same thing when he was younger and his dad fussed at him about it and he's like,
Right.
don't worry, Pops, I'll get it done.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he actually got his work done.
Right.
Me, on the other hand, you know, it's like half done. My mom, she yells at me all the time, like, well, you need to go ahead and start on this so you'll have enough time to do it. And I just like brush her off, like, okay, I'll do it or whatever.
Okay.
And then end up not getting it done.
Okay, that leads me to another question. Well, before I get into that, let me ask you another question. Have you talked to your father about possibly some changes that he made when he was in college to kind of maybe go to bed a little earlier or get started earlier on an assignment? Because it sounds like from what you were telling me earlier, he went through the same thing, which means that he can relate to what you're dealing with.
I haven't talked to him about changes he made,
Mhm.
but from what he has told me, you know, he said that his father nagged at him all the time about doing his work and
Mhm.
him getting up late and stuff.
Correct.
And, you know, he told me he was like, once he stopped nagging, everything was fine. So,
Okay.
so it's like one of those things where like, you keep bothering me, I'm not gonna do it. When you leave me
Okay.
alone is when I get it done.
Okay.
So,
I hope for your sake, I hope that works out. But, let me get into, I guess, another question concerning, I think you said your mom kind of nags and fusses at you as well. Is that more about starting earlier as opposed to the last minute? Or is it just about the whole process?
The whole process, because she'll nag throughout. Like, that's why I try to avoid talking to her about like my schoolwork and stuff, unless it's like the financial part of school of how much I'm going to need. Other than that, I just try to steer clear of it. But if she does ask, I try to spend like a brief amount of time talking about it, because then she wants to get into more detail of what I'm doing.
Right.
And
Okay.
that'll lead to nagging.
Right, so you do everything, from what I'm getting, you're doing any and everything you can to just avoid the whole conversation other than hello and goodbye.
Right.
That's about it. Okay. Has she offered any suggestions herself? Or any kind of encouragement, or she just nag all the time?
She has offered to like help with my assignments, but and I have gotten her and my dad's input recently about a speech I had to do. I was having a hard time coming up with an introduction.
Okay.
But turns out she's not that well with, because she had the same problem as well, coming up with introductions and conclusions.
Correct.
But like my math and science classes, she'll offer to help if she doesn't know what I'm doing, but once I tell her, oh, I need help, like figuring out what this chemical formula is in chemistry, or how to solve this equation in my math class, she's like, oh, never mind, you're gonna have to call your cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
math and science isn't her thing.
Well, join the club. Well, math was science was that. I'm a history and English guy, actually. But anyway, tell me a little bit more about your future plans. I know you told me you wanted to go to state about chemistry, but I guess what I'm saying with your future plans, tell me about what you think you're going to need to do in order to prepare, because Florida State, that's a bigger school. You're gonna have probably take a few more extra classes, more people in there, maybe less one-on-one time with the professor, unless you're fortunate enough to catch them in the office. What do you think you need to do to get ready for that, so you can take what you have here there?
Well, for one, I'm gonna be honest with you, I want to hit the lotto so that I won't have to work while in school.
Okay.
I think that's one of my issues that I'm having, is working while in school.
Yeah.
Because
That's right.
I feel like I'm not having enough time, but I have to work because I'm not getting financial aid right now. So I had to, I didn't want to take out a loan, so I had to work to come up with my payments for my payment plan in school.
Right.
And so hopefully when I transfer, that financial status would change, so that I could get like more financial help. And
Have you? Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me interrupt.
definitely utilize my study time. So if I do have the ability to get more help financially with school, definitely make time to go to the library. I want to, as much as I really don't like being around people like that, I do want to, try to come out of that habit and, make connections with other people, probably form study groups so that I can improve my grades and stuff at school.
Yes, because that would be one of the suggestions that I would give you. And it's one of the suggestions that I've been given since, first day of college. To find, my dad still does that now, and it makes it, makes sense to find a smart person, quote unquote, or just someone who's, because there's more than one person just like you in the same situation, or worse. You know, and they're looking for somebody, hey, let's get a study group together. Um, Particularly if they're serious. Now, if they're not, they're showing up late or they're skipping study habits or study, sessions or whatever, they may need to consider getting with someone else. But there are people in class that form study groups. As long as they're not, if they're already little buddies and they get kind of snobbish, whatever, no one let you get in, quote unquote, then you move on.
Right.
But there should be more than enough people. I would say even here in Lake City in your classes, to get with and say, look, I need help in this class. I'm doing this, or I'm not doing that. Let's get together and see if we can, bring each other up.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. It's also back to what you were saying, particularly about finances. It sounds like finances are an additional worry or topic on your mind, in addition to trying to manage work at school.
It's because, like I was telling you before, like when school is in, hours are, at a minimum. So if I need to, or if I have to, I gotta like pick up extra shifts just so that I could have like enough money to cover my school payment, and then on top of that, get some household things if they're needed, and then on top of that, like have money to enjoy myself for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it's been so hard.
Yeah, it's I've heard that before, and it, I when I was, especially my freshman year at A&M, until I was in the dorm. Fortunately, my parents were able to pay for room and board. And, I had a local scholarship my first semester, paid for everything except books. But as far as going here, going there, I could catch the city bus, and that was about it.
Right.
Because I wasn't working then. My parents would send me a little money, and I had a phone and things of that nature. But I had to learn how to budget. How are you on your budgeting your money? Work in progress?
It's terrible. It was.
Explain.
Okay, so I had 2 jobs at the start. I was working at Olive Garden and the movies. My Olive Garden paycheck was weekly, and then my Regal paycheck is bi-weekly.
Right.
So, because I quit Olive Garden back in January, the start of spring semester, so I could focus more on school.
Right.
And, I told myself, I was like, okay, you're going to save up so that you can build your account up to where the transition from weekly to bi-weekly won't be hard.
Correct.
But me being me, my paychecks over the winter break, I wanted to tell my dad, like, hey, it's okay, you don't have to give me money for my school payment. They were close to $500 a month. So I would say, like, hey, you don't have to do that. I have this payment this month on my own. And he offered the extra money, and I was like, no, it's okay, keep it, because I wanted to say I did this on my own.
Right.
But, after my last weekly paycheck and I had to go to bi-weekly, it was like, okay, so what can I do? And I don't cook like I should. Honestly, I don't cook at all. So that's one of the biggest things that my boyfriend yells at me about. He's like, okay, well, if you cook at home, you stop spending however much, God knows how much money a week on, and stuff like that. But it's like, also, I take a nap until it's time to go to work, and then on the way to work, grab something and go to work, because I need my hours, so I don't want to take a 30-45 minute break at work.
Right.
So do that. But I guess, friends come, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to spend all this money. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it won't hurt. And then after your friends are gone, because after they go back home to Tallahassee, it's just like, now what am I supposed to do? I spent my money.
Right. know, as far as the budget is concerned, because I know the finances have something to do as far as extra stress and worry, which plays into, I guess, in a negative way to a point with your schoolwork, because you're worried about, okay, I gotta pay for this, I gotta pay for that. But at the same time, I know you said you wanted to have a little extra money to spend as you wanted, which is understandable. What do you think you could do as far as the finances to, well, let me rephrase the question. Tell me a little bit about what you think you could do to better your finances, be it a budget or, you know, cutting this big expense off or that expense off, maybe buying food for the week. You know, you can make your own sandwiches, or, you know, take things to work with you, or you know, stop going out as much. Tell me what you tell me a little about that. What do you think you can do, or what have you been thinking about doing, possibly, I should say?
I could definitely just, you know, me being me, since I don't cook, there's like tons of other things that, you know, I can go out and buy, like the little oven pizzas and juice and stuff like that, and just put it in the house so I can have like stuff to eat and snack on, because, you know, still live with my parents, so food really isn't that much of a problem, because they'll cook from time to time as well, but on those nights when they don't cook, don't be so quick to, you know, go out and get something. I will say, with the budgeting, I do make sure that if I, like, you know, recently I had to take out money for my school payments, and then I had to get an oil change as well. If I see those things coming up, I will take those out first and then work with what I have left over. So that part of, like, I guess you could say, bills and maintenance, I keep up with that.
So it sounds like you know a thing or two about priorities, and you set your priorities as far as, you know, the necessities with school, tuition, books, or whatever. Same thing with, you know, maintaining the car, which is good, because you got to take care of that, like the oil change and the air in the tires, you know, all the other fluids and the engine and everything else. In addition to, you know, taking money out for school and things like that. That's good, because that's important. If I think that's a big problem with a lot of people. They don't prioritize. They just spend and say, well, I'll get to it later. So it sounds like you've got the priorities there. Is it possibly you just, I don't know, it's not as much money as you want there after all of that is taken care of?
Definitely. With that, and being as though, you know, working at the movie theaters, you can't expect like a $10 or $12 pay. You know, we start off at minimum wage, and then you work your way to your, you know, your raises that you get.
Correct. So, how long have you been at the movies?
About a year and almost 2 months.
Okay, so you're coming up on a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you talked to your man? Do you know the procedures or processes of any, I don't know, 10-cent raise or quarter raise or whatever?
I just got one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do the 90-day evaluation.
Correct.
And then after that, you get your yearly evaluation, and when you pass, you get your raise. So, passed my evaluation. So.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My I guess my thing is I do want a better job, because I've gotten to the place now, I'm getting tired of working there. So I do want, it's like one of those things where I want a better job, but don't want to go through being the newbie, not knowing everything, and meeting new people and stuff like that. So, you know. Well, it's just something that comes with it. So
I was about to say, regardless of whatever job you have, you're going to be the new person.
Yeah.
You know, at least your first day.
Right.
But have you talked to any of your professors about any suggestions of, okay, I'm doing okay, but I want to know what can I do to get better in this class? You know, what do I need to read more, to take better notes, you know, possibly get in a study group. You know, maybe you know about some study groups or study times. Have you considered doing that?
Most of them, they do encourage, you know, if you're having trouble, they have multiple resources. Like, you can go to the library. You can also, you know, the first day or two, they do like have us pair up with somebody and it's like, hey, you should at least have one other classmate's number and stuff like that. So if you need help or whatever. And then we also have what they call the Student Success Lab. It's like a computer lab where they do offer tutoring and stuff like that. But I have been in the Success Lab once, and I don't know, the need for, I'm a selfish person. So I'm like a one-on-one type of person. Like,
Correct.
all of your attention comes to me, because if I'm getting help with a question and you tell me, you know, how to figure it out while I'm working out, and you walk away to like another student or whatever, but once you walk away, I'm going to need your help again. It's like, now I have to sit here and wait. So my process is like, held up.
So it sounds like you said, you're more one-on-one, and I don't think you have a problem with the other people there per se. It's just that you I think you really just, maybe is there some impatience mixed in with that? Okay.
I'm not a patient person. It depends on what it is.
Okay. But in that situation, you're selfish and impatient. Okay. Well, I can understand. Some people, you know, prefer one-on-one as opposed to being in a group setting, like in a study lab or study hall or something like that, and you've got, you know, a couple of, you know, student helpers in there helping everybody in the room. Okay. Have you, tell me a little bit about what you think, tell me a little about what you, I guess, let me change that question. What have you done? Have you looked for any, you know, anyone offering any one-on-one tutoring or anything like that? Maybe there at the school or in your classroom, you know, one of your classmates, I don't know.
Well, normally I'll just like ask my boyfriend later on the night, because he's like really smart. So
okay, that's good.
He helps me out a lot with any questions that I do have. I know it was coming up on my pre-calc final. I did reach out to a student that I've had a couple classes with before, like, hey, you want to meet up at the library, you know, go over some things and help me. And so did that.
Did that work out okay?
It did, but I was looking at retaking the class anyways, so I mean, I actually did do better on the final than I thought I would do. So, in a sense, it did help out.
Good. Do you still keep in contact with that student or that classmate?
Yeah, we follow each other on a couple social medias and stuff.
Okay.
So, and she also works on campus, so I go to the bookstore a lot just to get like snacks here and there. So we do, you know, talk and stuff.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have some type of an idea of how to get some assistance with your classes. Tell me a little bit about tell me a little bit about when your time, you felt, a time when you felt your time management was working well. You were doing things well at school, you were managing your time well at work. Tell me a little bit about that one or maybe two or three particular times when it felt like everything was clicking? If you don't have any time,
like, cause the situation worked out for the most part, but I was still pushing time and like didn't finish one. It was what day was this? I want to say it was Thursday. I spent that whole day. I had a in my public speaking class. We had to do a peer critique and a self-critique on our speeches, our demonstration speeches. And so I spent like most of that day trying to, because she has the form for us on how to do it. She also has an example. I just didn't know like the form. It was like question and answer, but you know, when we turn it in, it had to be in essay form.
Correct.
So I was trying to figure out how to do that because I was answering the questions, but you know, I was just trying to figure out how to put it in essay form. So I ended up not doing it that day. You know, I went to work, and you know, while I was waiting on the movies to get out, I looked over it again, like the examples again, and so it clicked. It was like, oh, okay. So I got home and I had about 25 to 30 minutes to type 250 word, you know, critiques.
Right.
So amazingly, I got the majority of it done. I finished one and I had over 250 words. And then the second one, I was off by 71 words. So I missed it by 71. But when I just got my feedback like yesterday, and I still made, you know, good grades on both. And so, I don't know, it was at night. So I'm like, okay, well.
And I remember you mentioning about working better at night.
I think it just took some time to know.
Okay.
Process.
Well, then I guess it means, I guess you're saying, in addition to the nighttime, giving yourself time to process or think about all that stuff. And I think you're suggesting possibly starting, you know, early as opposed to waiting until the last minute to get started on things, to give yourself that wiggle room time to make some changes or add to. Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. It sounds like I said, you have the idea and some of the pieces here, and I think it sounds like you're trying to put all the pieces together into that puzzle, so you can manage, you know, the work and the school. Because it sounds like you've done it, just not consistently.
Right.
Okay.
And I think it also depends on the type of assignment that I have to do. Being as though, you know, I had to do the peer critique. Once I had seen everyone's speeches, you know, one particular student stood out to me, and it's like, you know, it's a lot that, you know, they could do to better their next presentation.
Right.
And so, and also with myself, I know for a fact that I did not do as well as I should have, and so I had also a lot to say about, you know, how I could better for my next presentation. So those type of things, they're easier to do because I'm not one of those people who, you know, get mad, you know, or think that I do everything right, because I know I don't, and I don't have a problem with, you know, calling myself out about what I've done wrong and what I can do better.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to do. That's a good point.
Always room to better yourself.
Correct. Well, I think we're going to end it here, and the next session we're going to pick up. I want to hear more about a plan to put these pieces that you have, which are good pieces. Start coming up with a plan to put more of those pieces together so that puzzle will start to grow and it'll look a lot better.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Maya.
Thank you.
And I will talk to you later.